Hello and welcome to Talkin Hearthstone, the podcast where we talk about Hearthstone. I'm Tito Santana, and this is episode 16. So, big spell mage play rate has slowed down, right? It's at over the last day at Legend, which is kind of like the indication that I'm working with. 16.2% popularity at Legend. Is the fifth best deck in the meta right now. At Legend, it is a 54.7% win rate. Also of note, Highlander Druid is at a 10.2% play rate with a 50.7 win rate, and that's the 10th best deck. So what's happening right now? Right now, the best deck in the game, according to this, is Tempo Druid, which is kind of a Treant type Druid that's kind of emerged the last few days. And that's at a 56.4% win rate, but only a 1.8% play rate. Pirate Demon Hunter is at a 55.9% win rate with a 3.2% popularity. Insanity Warlock, and Painlock bring up the next two spots. Again, 2.4, 3.0% play rates and around a 55.3% win rate. So what's happening, right? So big spell mage is there. Tempo Druid, Pirate Demon Hunter, Painlock all kind of counter it. So the meta is kind of forming around that. And you also have some other good decks with Big Shaman, Pipsy Paladin, which I have really played a lot of, Weapons Rogue, and Overheal Priest. We'll talk about Overheal Priest in a little bit. But I don't think the meta's in a bad place. It's they're still going to nerf Big Spell Mage. It's going to need a nudge, if only for play rate purposes, right? If they don't want to see a deck being even 16% of the meta or 20% of the meta, I don't think. But it doesn't feel bad like it used to. So I'm glad they didn't come out and panic change anything, because I don't like when they do that. Occasionally, it has felt like they've needed to, but I think we're good here. I think that even if they didn't make a change to Mage, it might be it needs a change. It needs a small change. I don't think it needs something big. Again, I think they should revert Tsunami to be 8 mana again and give 3 minions. I think that would be fine. It kind of would disrupt the flow of things. It would be you're more reliant on Sunset Volley as your spell from the Portal Master, and that's less consistent, and it's not a kind of a big swing as it was with, say, the Tsunami. So we'll see. They will make an adjustment. What that adjustment is, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we will find out on Tuesday, and we'll get the patch on Thursday, something like that. That seems to have been their pattern. We're also getting close to a time to be revealing new cards for a new expansion. It's within a month, I would think, right? We get the mini set. The mini set's been out for a little while. That's going to be ramping up soon. I look forward to that, and we're going to figure out how we're going to do it with this show. But we're going to talk about new cards and everything, and I'm excited. But the meta's good right now. And if you were out there and you just didn't want to play because Big Spell Mage, you're going to log in after listening to me, and you're going to run the 4 big Spell Mages in a row, and you say, Tito, what are you telling me? It's still bad. And, that's just luck. I don't think I saw maybe 2 or 3 yesterday, and I played quite a lot. So I haven't really been playing that much Big Spell Mage. I play a game here or there, but I've been trying to do something which is different for me. I'm playing Overheal Priest, and there's reasons for it, and we're going to go into it right now. So I want to talk about goals today. Now, if you're playing, and specifically within Hearthstone or games like Hearthstone, now, a lot of times people have a goal, right? They want to hit Legend. They want to hit Diamond 5, or they want to, it doesn't even matter, but like everyone has their own goals, right? And everyone's goals are differently. And I realized that I don't have a goal. I think I have a goal, but I have a tier of goals, and the way they interact is kind of what I want to look at right now. And if you have goals that you want to hit or talk about, I'd love to hear from you. You can send me those emails, and we could talk about it. Or, you can just comment on the show. You also give us a 5-star review, please. We would love that. It helps people find the show. People have been finding the show. We're starting to grow, and I think it's all thanks to the listeners out there that have been spreading the word. I appreciate you. But we'll get to that part later, too. So I'm going to talk about my goals, because I'm here talking to me by myself. So my top goal is to enjoy the game. If I'm not having fun, I'm going to play other games. And I am never not having fun playing Hearthstone, or it's rare that I'm not having fun playing Hearthstone. Even if I'm tilted and upset about the way things are going, I'm still enjoying myself. I'm still enjoying the game. So when that changes, if I'm no longer having fun, then it's time to make some adjustments. But that is the main goal. And that should be the main goal for, in my opinion, everybody. Unless you are actively a top 20 player trying to push for a Masters tour to get the money, because that's the only way you're going to get money in this situation anymore. If you're not having fun, step away from the game, take a break, play something else, play a different mode, come back to it later. Maybe you're done with Hearthstone, maybe you're not. Who's to say? But you should be. If you launch the client and your opinion isn't that you're having fun, what are you doing? Like, there's other games. That's my main goal. My second goal is that I want to build up a community and listenership for my podcasts, both of them. More importantly, bread and butter. That is, this show is kind of like my little side project. I want to see what else I can do, talk to people, kind of just spout off whatever's on my mind. Bread and butter is kind of my more important show. If I'm being honest, it's the one that I've put a lot of work into. Been doing it for a while. We have great guests. I want to grow that community. I want more people to hear the wonderful guests we have. So that's very important to me. And part of being able to build that community is to have. There's many ways to do it. If you look at, say, like the Angry Chicken, they never really were legend players. Joss got one towards the end, but that wasn't what they were, right? They weren't trying to talk about playing competitive Hearthstone. They were there to talk about the joy that is Hearthstone and the news and new sets and cards and stuff. So they weren't a highly competitive podcast. They had their area. Now, if you look at something like Coin Concede, everyone on that show gets legend pretty much every month. They do talk about kind of high level meta and more intricacies. So I think that if somebody on that show was not a legend player or very typically wasn't, it'd be harder to justify that on some levels, right? Not that they wouldn't be awesome and entertaining and wonderful, but some people might say, well, this person's not legend. How am I supposed to value their opinions when I'm listening to the show about improving in the game? They're talking more about competitive Hearthstone or in theory, but you understand what I mean. So like talking like the Angry Chicken, kind of a all encompassing show. This is a show for everybody, and so is Coin Concede. But Coin Concede is more focused on the people. If you're listening to Coin Concede versus when Tack was on, it was like Tack was like, I just want to know what's going on in Hearthstone versus Coin Concede. I want to listen to how to be better at Hearthstone, and and both shows had amazing hosts, have amazing hosts that bring whatever they bring to the show themselves. With bread and butter, my vision for bread and butter before we even started doing interviews was that I want this show to be primarily focused on being kind of an evergreen show where if I'm trying to get better at Hearthstone, like I can go and I can find an episode that would talk about the things that I want to learn. So it's not going to be every episode, and it's not going to be like sometimes we have we talk about some battleground stuff, which I like, and we talk about how to get better. So hopefully we can, but I don't think our core audience is battlegrounds. I think our core audience is streamers. And sometimes we talk about some other things. We had Doc's brother on once, which was fun. And sometimes we have like just a guy on and we talk about things, that are fun. But for the most part, I want to have an episode like, hey, like we had an episode last week on this show about ladder anxiety. And I want to have bread and butter be kind of like, oh, I have ladder anxiety. And is there an episode about that? And like, you can go and listen to it. And it won't matter what's going on in the current meta. You want to know about ladder anxiety. How do I overcome it? Or what's it like? Is that what I'm experiencing and whatnot? And that's kind of what I wanted for that show. Now, if I'm out here and I'm usually bringing guests to talk about the subjects that I want to talk about, or vice versa, I bring in a guest and figure out what would be the best subject for them to talk about. But I want, those experts to help us get there. I feel like on that show, if I'm going to present myself as somebody that can help you get better at the game, whether or not you're a better player than I am, or I am a better player than you are, doesn't matter. if I am going to be that voice, I feel like I need to be able to perform at least at a decent level where my opinions actually matter. If I feel like if I was like a Diamond 10 player, and not disrespecting anybody that gets to Diamond 10, that's where you are right now. But if I came in a Diamond 10 player and I start telling you, hey, this is how you should set your goals, hey, this is how you should pick decks, this is how you should do that, you're not going to have as much respect for the information that I'm giving you unless I am at that higher of a level, right? Where I can actually talk more about, you know, I can talk, hey, these are things you can do, and I can back them up because I have done them. And that's really been kind of my purpose all along is I want to improve as a player, not only for myself because I have these other goals, which we're going to get to in a second, but also because I want you to respect my opinion because not only am I telling you these things on my podcast, but I'm also or my stream, but I'm also showing you that I can accomplish these things because you can see a results oriented results. You can see the results basically. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So that's my second primary goal: enjoy the game, build a community for my podcasts. Right. My third is I want to build a community for streaming. Since I started streaming, I've talked about this. I'll talk about this again. COVID hit. I didn't do it for a while. I think it was like a year and a half after COVID, or a little over a year after COVID hit, when I started streaming and started to do some content. I am a social person. I am not an introvert. I am not a I like to be around people. My social battery is always charged, or almost always charged. I want to chit chat. In fact, I have done a poor job of making other content like YouTube's and whatnot because my content window, my kids go to bed, my wife goes to bed 9 to 12. Is 9 to 12 p.m. is when I have this time to do things that are related to content. And I should be sleeping probably earlier because I still have to get up at, almost 7. But that's the time. But the problem is I love Hearthstone so much that I sit down at night and I say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play some Hearthstone. And if I want to play Hearthstone, I want to play with my friends. So I fire up the stream and I just play some Hearthstone and we talk about it. We have fun. It's great. And I'm not complaining about the fact that I'm not doing other things. I really should only stream a couple nights a week and focus on making other content to help build my community for streaming. But, it is what it is. And I feel like we've been growing the last few weeks. It's been lively. I can't remember the last time I've talked to a live room for a long period of time, empty room. I mean, sometimes you fire up the stream and it takes 10, 15 minutes for people to get there. But lately we get there, people are there, we're chatting, we're talking about new things, and it's fun. So that's my third goal is I want to build my streaming community and everything around that. So goals so far, let's recap. Enjoy the game, build a community for my listeners and my podcast, and build a community for streaming. So now, what is my next goal? My next goal is I want to be an 11-star player. Ideally, I want to get to be a top 200 player. Now, that is a lofty goal that is going to be very hard to get if I could ever get that at all. I don't possibly have those skills. I may not be able to get a 200 dot player, but I think I can become an 11-star player. I've hit it a couple times, and I want to be that place where I am always I feel like I'm always in that conversation. Maybe I get it every couple months or whatever like that. Fine. But why do I want to do that? What is my point of that? Well, it builds on everything else, right? If I am, your number's small, your legend number is smaller, more people are going to probably check you out if they kind of happen upon your stream. You're going to see more people. People are going to see you on other people's streams. So you're going to see my name pop up multiple times on somebody like Pizza Stream or, whoever. I've played No Hands Gamer. I've played, a few other people, and not enough, but I want to be one of those people that you see you see their names almost, every couple nights on their streams. And then their community starts to recognize that, hey, this is a player that we know. Oh, they stream. Let's go check them out. And then hopefully we can pull people in there. So I want to be a better Hearthstone player, firstly, because that's part of the game. And I love that part of the game. And I want to be a better player. So yes, I want to be an 11-star player for myself because I love not having to slog through D5 the legend. I love playing people that I recognize, but also I want to grow my brand. I want to grow my community and also then hopefully grow my community for podcasts. And to me, that's all fun. So there we have it, right? So there's that goal. But is that my only goal? No. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 goals right there. Now we have the fifth goal, which is getting better at competitive Hearthstone. And I'm in two THL leagues. I do Coin Conceit Listener Series. And as that's a lot of fun for me. It's a different thing than climbing on ladder. It's a very different thing than climbing on ladder. And I want to be able to get better at that. I can win some games. I've never finished above 500. I finished 500, I think, once. I think we're going to finish close to that. But personally, mine, right? But I'm also on a team where other people are depending on me to win. I do the duos where me and Pilot have to work together. Um, so I want to get better at Conquest. And if I'm better at Conquest, then when I'm playing these Conquest matches on stream, they're more entertaining. Maybe people realize, oh, Tito's streaming a Conquest match. We get him in here. We build our community. So it all stacks upon that, right? But how do I get better at Conquest? Well, I have to learn new decks. Now, this is where things get interesting. I have been at my best in the past when I have found a deck that I like, or maybe one or two decks, but a deck that I really like, I'm really engaged with, and I play the heck out of it. Shadow Priest, I played 600 games a month. Love that deck. It was amazing. It was fun. My first 11 star, right? Just recently, Handbuff Paladin got me to my second 11 star. I love Handbuff Paladin. It's such a deck that I enjoy. I also used to love Pure Paladin. I could play the heck of, but I tend to gravitate towards playing a particular deck, right? But here's the problem. When you need to be Conquest, you don't just bring one deck. You have to bring 3 decks, 4 decks, depending on the league. And a lot of times I'm not playing all these decks. I'm playing the deck that I'm playing. So then I get to Conquest and then, okay, well, I've got a few games under my, first off, by not playing a lot of decks, it limits the choices I have to the decks that I feel comfortable with, right? So I'm limiting myself as a Conquest player by only playing a few decks or, one deck or 2 decks. And also, if let's say the decks I'm bringing aren't a good matchup for what this other player tends to bring. Well, now I have to think about playing other decks that I'm even more uncomfortable with. Yet I need to have experience playing with those. But what happens is when I decide, hey, we're going to have some fun with some new cards, or we're going to practice some new decks so that way we understand them for Conquest. Well, what happens when you learn a new deck? Rank goes down. So this goal right here of learning new decks is counterproductive to the try to become 11 star player, try to make number go smaller temporarily, right? So what I have to kind of rationalize in my brain, which is not as easy as it sounds, but I have to say, you know what? I'm going to lose ranks. I'm okay with that. I've just proven to myself over the last 4 months or 5 months, whatever it is, that I can get better and better and better every month, and that I am borderline close to being where I want to be as far as becoming an 11 star player. So if my rank goes down this month, is that permanent? No. Is it something I have to just kind of accept and say, okay, I'm going to learn this deck. Once I figure it out, I can start climbing with it again. But until I'm going to make mistakes, and I have to be comfortable enough with making the mistakes. And this is something that I've done before where it's like, okay, I'll try a new deck. And my rank starts falling. I'm like, I'm too far away from where I want to be. And then I switch back to playing the deck that I was playing, or I start, and I don't give the time or effort I need to become better at the new deck. And then that kind of time. So not only did I not put enough time in this deck, so I'm not proficient with it, or at least I'm not comfortable with it, but also now I've reduced my rank where I'm not closer to my 11 star goal. So these two goals are at least on some level conflicting in the early stages. But the more time I spend learning new decks, the more comfortable I'm going to get. And I'm going to be like playing Shadow Priest, playing Handbuff Paladin, playing Pure Paladin. There's a lot of decisions to be made, but they're not quote unquote high skill cap decks, right? They're fairly streamlined. You make better decisions the more you've played them, the more you understand them. But the decisions themselves, there's not a ton of really super complicated decisions, right? So when you play something like Overheal Priest or Garrote Rogue or whatever it might be, there's a lot more complicated decisions you have to make. And that's why those decks are hard. And that's why people say, I'm not playing that. In fact, Pilot this week said, we're not bringing that deck because you don't know how to play it. When I was talking about Overheal Priest, then I put a lot more time into it, done some research as far as mulligans, because I know Goku said, hey, you're really losing most of your games in the mulligan. And he was right. So I went through a couple mulligan guides, and I feel like I played better. Last night I went like 10-6 or something like that with the deck. We played much better. So I'm feeling more comfortable with it. So I am trying to say, I know I want to be an 11-star player. I know I have to take a step back as I learn new decks in order to become more versatile as a player, to then become better at Conquest, to then become a better 11-star player, to then hopefully build a better community for my streaming, because we're not just a one deck pony. And then hopefully I can speak more to things on my podcast about different decks, because I am feeling more confident in my ability to talk about multiple decks and not just the few decks that I can, and play in general. So it all builds on all these things. And also what I want to do is I want to become more confident. My final goal here is become more confident in learning these decks. I want to be able to adapt faster to these decks. And by taking the time to learn more of these decks, I can actually more quickly acclimate to them. And the more versatility I have by playing multiple decks, the more I'm going to understand how to win and lose in whatever current meta I am in, given that I have the experience with the decks. And then when new decks come out, I become more versatile, and I can learn them faster as well. And I'm not talking about just learning how to play a deck. Anybody can learn how to play a deck. You can get the basic nuances out of it, but being good at a deck, I want to get a deck, and I want to be able to say, yes, I confidently can bring Overheal Priest to Conquest, because I feel like I can just queue it up and win with it, because I understand matchups, I understand play patterns, I understand everything. So to go over this one more time, enjoy the game, build a community for listeners of my podcast, build a community for streaming, become the best player that I can get to, ideally being an 11-star player as my main goal, as a monthly 11-star player, not just get 11 stars. Eventually, I would like to try to be able to get into the top 200, not just on day 1 or day 2, but as in that's where I exist. Lofty goal. That one's out of range, because I think I can improve at Hearthstone so much, but there's probably a plateau that I'll hit wherever that might be. I think it's somewhere in 11 stars, maybe top 1,000, but the top 200 players are, special players that really kind of understand the game on a different level. I don't know if some of that can be learned, probably, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. Talk to me in a year, see where we're at. But that is what we call a stretch goal. But I want to get better at Conquest and other competitive formats, so I can be more of a leader on my team, and all that plays in. I want to be better at learning new decks, so that way I can be more entertaining on my streams. I can be better at Conquest. I can be more confident, and I can build myself up to be a better player. And I want to be able to learn these decks faster, because I have the confidence to go in, and the skill and knowledge of how Hearthstone works. So I can pick up these decks faster and make less mistakes. So there you have it. So I'd like to know what your goals are. So a lot of people's, what's your goal? Hit legend. Okay, sure. But now it's bigger than that, right? It's if you really break it down, you can set mini goals, and these are all different things that I can focus on. Am I 11-star player? Is my rank falling right now? Yes, but I'm focusing on that other goal of becoming a better player at new decks. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of an interesting dive into my own psyche as far as Hearthstone and my goals and my planning, and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and why I struggle to change play patterns, and why I think it's important to understand. And this is the first time, the last 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, the last 2 or 3 days, I've been literally, probably shouldn't say literally, because I've been very comfortable with the fact that, hey, day 1 my rank was going down. I wasn't looking at it. I saw that I made down to 7,000 or something like that, but it wasn't like after every game I'm like, oh no, I've fallen again. And then yesterday when I started winning, it felt much better, and I wasn't worried about the rank either, because I'm like, well, I'm not worried about climbing. I'm just worried about understanding the deck, and it made a huge difference. So anyway, I know I just babbled a long time about my own personal goals, but I wanted to show that, hey, your goals might not just be as simple as I want to hit legend, or I want to hit a certain rank, or I want to win more games than I lose. Like, if you can take a look and say, well, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? You might be able to break your goals into smaller goals, and then you can hit smaller goals. So even if you don't hit your top goal or your bottom goal or your middle goal, you have goals that you can say, well, I didn't get to legend, but I did get better at these decks and I understand this better and whatnot. So that's all, just something to think about. You can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. And if I'm somewhere that I'm not, just let me know. Or if I'm not somewhere I should be, let me know and we will get there. This week on Bread and Butter, we have Pilot and World 8. We're talking about Big Spell Mage, meta warping and defining, mostly just kind of diving into that, but also just what is meta? If you hear this word all the time, meta, and you're listening, and you're like, yeah, I understand it, but I don't. Like, we try to really get a deep dive into it. So I thought it was a very interesting conversation. I hope you listen to that. But I'm done talking. Have a great day.